What if the miracles we read about, those that defy logic, nature, and time, are not violations of scientific law, but glimpses into a science far beyond our understanding? Could it be that the blood of Christ, the most sacred symbol in Christianity, holds mysteries that science is only beginning to grasp? This isn't about diminishing the divine. On the contrary, it may be that science, in all its progress, is simply catching up to the fingerprints of God. Through this journey, we'll explore how the supernatural and the scientific might not be opposites, but allies. How can the creator of the universe not also be the author of the laws that govern it? And if so, are we witnessing miracles, or just seeing God's science at work? Before time itself was measured, before a single atom existed, there was only God, eternal, sovereign, and all-powerful. In the beginning, he spoke, and by his word, the universe burst into being. Let there be light, he declared, and in that moment, not only did light emerge, but time, space, matter, and energy were born. These were not accidental phenomena, they were the first expressions of divine logic. What we now call the Big Bang, with all its scientific intricacies, may have been nothing more than the echo of God's first word, rippling through the void, forming galaxies, elements, and eventually, life. The laws that govern our universe, gravity, electromagnetism, nuclear forces, the speed of light, are remarkably precise. Physicists agree that if any of these constants were altered by even the smallest fraction, the universe would not be able to support life. The margins are so narrow that many have called it a fine-tuned universe. Is this fine-tuning the result of random chance or the signature of an intelligent creator? Can we truly believe that such precision arose from nothing, without thought or intention? Or is it more reasonable, and more awe-inspiring, to see these laws as the mathematical handwriting of God? Science, far from disproving the existence of God, often reveals just how deeply embedded he is in creation. Each discovery, each formula, each breathtaking glimpse into the cosmos uncovers another layer of order, symmetry, and complexity. From the spiral arms of galaxies to the double helix of DNA, patterns repeat and align in ways that suggest intention, not chaos. If God is the creator of all things, then the natural laws are not separate from him, they are expressions of his consistency, his intellect, his very nature. The early scientists, many of whom were devout believers, did not see a contradiction between faith and scientific inquiry. On the contrary, they believed the universe was intelligible because it was created by a rational mind. Johannes Kepler, one of the fathers of astronomy, once said, "I am merely thinking God's thoughts after him." This humility is crucial. Science is not a challenge to the divine, but a means of exploring the thoughts of the one who made all things. By studying the creation, we glimpse the Creator. The Hebrew term bara, used in Genesis to describe God's act of creation, implies not only making something from nothing, but doing so with authority, structure, and purpose. Creation wasn't an explosion of disorder, it was the birth of order. The stars were not flung into the sky in chaos, but placed with purpose. The earth was not randomly positioned in space. It sits at the perfect distance from the sun, tilted at the perfect angle, with the perfect conditions for life. This is not random. This is design. Even in modern scientific disciplines, such as quantum physics or molecular biology, we find staggering complexity that hints at a deeper intelligence. Cells behave with remarkable coordination. Particles defy logic. Patterns emerge from seeming randomness. These phenomena don't diminish God, they magnify him. They remind us that while science can describe how something works, it cannot always answer why it exists. That why often leads us beyond equations, into the realm of purpose, into the heart of God. So, what if the study of science is not a threat to belief, but an invitation to worship? What if the intricacies of the universe are not secrets waiting to be solved, but sacred revelations pointing us back to the Creator? Perhaps in every equation, every discovery, every experiment, we are peeling back the layers of divine intention. And as we explore the cosmos and its laws, we are not moving away from God, but drawing closer to understanding just how magnificent his creation truly is. Yet even with all our advancements, we must ask, if the laws of the universe are this profound, what does that say about the one who spoke them into being? And if we can trace the logic of the universe, can we also trace the presence of the one who wrote its code? Throughout Scripture, we find moments when the natural world bends, pauses, or transforms in response to the divine will. The Red Sea parts, water flows from a rock, the sun stands still, the blind see, the dead rise. These are not mere poetic embellishments, they are accounts of supernatural intervention. Yet, a question lingers in the modern mind: can science explain these miracles? And if so, does that explanation diminish the hand of God? Or does it, in fact, illuminate it? Take, for instance, the parting of the Red Sea. In Exodus, God commands Moses to stretch out his hand, and the waters separate, allowing the Israelites to cross on dry ground. Some researchers suggest that a powerful east wind, a natural but rare meteorological event, could temporarily push back shallow waters, exposing a dry seabed. This theory doesn't strip the event of its wonder. On the contrary, the precision of timing, the scale of the deliverance, and the orchestration of natural forces point to a divine conductor who uses his own laws to fulfill his purposes. Similarly, the manna that sustained the Israelites in the desert has intrigued scientists and historians alike. Some propose that it could have been a resinous secretion from desert insects, a substance known to harden overnight and provide basic sustenance. But would that make it any less miraculous? Consider the context: it arrived daily, in the right quantity, for 40 years, ceasing only when they reached the promised land. Natural or not, such sustained precision exceeds coincidence, it points to providence. In the New Testament, Jesus turns water into wine. While chemistry tells us that fermentation and transformation of liquids require time and specific enzymes, this act happened instantly. While no scientific mechanism can replicate such a process in real time, some suggest that the miracle may symbolically represent the transformation of substance, just as faith transforms hearts. But again, science here doesn't disprove the miracle, it simply underscores how the laws we understand were momentarily transcended by the one who authored them. Miracles, then, are not necessarily the suspension of natural law, they may be the divine application of higher laws unknown to us. Just as electricity or magnetism were once considered magic, perhaps God's power operates through dimensions or principles science has yet to grasp. What we call impossible may simply be undiscovered. It's also important to note that the Bible never presents miracles as common occurrences. They are rare, intentional, and purposeful. They occur not to entertain or astonish, but to reveal, restore, and redirect. Whether healing a leper or raising Lazarus, Jesus' miracles served as signs. Not just of power, but of authority. They confirmed his identity as the Son of God and fulfilled prophecies long awaited. The method mattered less than the message: God is present, God is in control, and God is intervening. So even when science offers a plausible mechanism, the timing, the context, and the outcome all still point to the divine. Faith is not about rejecting reason, it's about recognizing that reason alone cannot capture the fullness of God. The miraculous doesn't always contradict science, it may simply exist beyond its current reach. And so we ask, what if miracles aren't breaches in nature, but windows into deeper realities? What if the wonders of the Bible are not fairy tales to be dismissed, but divine moments where heaven touches earth, sometimes gently within nature, sometimes far beyond it, but always with intention and love? When we gaze at the universe, at the structure of galaxies, the precision of planetary orbits, the balance of ecosystems, and the complexity of the human body, we are not simply looking at matter and motion. We are witnessing a divine language written in the code of creation. The laws of physics, biology, and chemistry are not just impersonal rules, they are the reflections of a God who chose order over chaos, harmony over randomness, and meaning over emptiness. These laws, though measurable and predictable, are not independent of God, they are his thoughts made visible. From the beginning, God created not just the material world, but the framework by which it would operate. Gravity pulls, light bends, atoms bond, and cells divide, all according to principles so reliable that humanity can send satellites to the edge of the solar system and predict eclipses centuries in advance. But where did this order originate? Why does the universe follow rules at all? Scientists marvel at this consistency, often calling it elegance or fine-tuning, but believers recognize it as divine design. Take mathematics, for example. It is a universal language, not invented but discovered. Equations that govern electricity, planetary motion, and thermodynamics exist outside of culture and history. Why? Because they mirror a deeper logic, one that does not change with time. This permanence and universality suggest not randomness, but intention. As St. Augustine once wrote, God created numbers. And through numbers, he has woven his will into the fabric of reality. In this light, the laws of nature are not cold, detached systems, but signs of a creator who sustains his creation moment by moment. When a seed becomes a tree, when the tide obeys the moon, when the seasons arrive in their time, they are following a pattern laid out by divine wisdom. These patterns are not evidence of a universe running on its own, they are signs of a God who remains involved in every breath, every heartbeat, every sunrise. Even the most chaotic systems, like weather, volcanic eruptions, or the behavior of subatomic particles, follow statistical patterns. There is mystery, yes, but also structure. Quantum physics may show us a world of probability rather than certainty, but even those probabilities fall within frameworks. If God created these systems, then he is not the God of gaps, waiting to fill in the holes where science has no answers, but the God of structure, the one who authored both the known and the unknown. Some may argue that explaining how things happen naturally removes the need for God. But that is a shallow view of divinity. A clockmaker is not less involved because his clock runs smoothly, on the contrary, his genius is proven by the reliability of the mechanism. In the same way, the reliability of natural laws does not prove God's absence, it confirms his brilliance. Science explains how the world functions, but it cannot answer why those functions exist in the first place. Moreover, when miracles occur, when those natural laws appear to bend or break, they do not disprove the laws themselves. Rather, they suggest that the author of the laws can intervene when he chooses, not in contradiction to his nature, but in alignment with a higher purpose. God is not subject to his creation is subject to him. The laws are tools, not limits. They reflect his character, constant, trustworthy, and wise. So, as we explore the universe through science, we are not peeling God away from the world, we are uncovering his craftsmanship. Each discovery is like turning a page in a divine manuscript. And the more we understand the rules by which the universe operates, the more clearly we see the one who wrote them. This leads us to a powerful realization: if the laws of nature are so beautifully complex and harmoniously interwoven, what must the mind of the lawgiver be like? What kind of God creates a world where every detail, from galaxies to genes, follows a coherent and life-sustaining order? The answer may lie not in experiments or equations, but in awe, reverence, and wonder. Among the many miracles recorded in the Bible, few are as iconic and intimate as Jesus' first public wonder, turning water into wine at the wedding in Cana. On the surface, it appears simple. Jesus commands the servants to fill 6 stone jars with water, and when they draw from them, the water has become wine. But beneath this moment lies a profound question: could there be a scientific explanation? And if there were, would that somehow unravel its divine nature? Chemically speaking, turning water into wine is a process of incredible complexity. Wine is composed of water, ethanol, alcohol, sugars, acids, tannins, and hundreds of aromatic compounds. For natural wine production, it requires the fermentation of grape juice by yeast over days or weeks. No known process can instantly reorganize the molecular structure of pure water into such a complex substance, especially without grapes, fermentation, or time. From a purely scientific viewpoint, this transformation is not just improbable, it is impossible. Yet, perhaps that's precisely the point. If we accept that God is the creator of all matter, including the laws of chemistry and biology, then suspending or bypassing these laws is no different than a composer altering the tempo of his own music. Jesus, as the embodiment of divine power, wasn't just performing a trick, he was demonstrating authority over the very fabric of creation. And he did it not in front of kings or scholars, but at a humble village wedding, for a couple whose joy was about to falter. This miracle, though grand in its defiance of physics, was deeply personal and purposeful. Still, some have speculated. Could Jesus have used natural elements unknown to us? Could the jars have contained grape residue? Could the servants have unknowingly participated in a slow transformation? These ideas stretch scientific creativity, but they all fall short of the central claim: the wine was made immediately, and it was better than what had been served before. Even if we consider quantum theories, like molecular reorganization at the atomic level, we must accept that such an act would require unimaginable energy and intelligence. Rearranging H2O molecules into ethanol, sugars, acids, and flavor compounds instantaneously would demand knowledge and control far beyond any technology or natural law known to science. In fact, the more we understand the chemistry of wine, the more astonishing this miracle becomes. But again, the power of this event lies not in whether we can explain it, but in why it happened. The miracle at Cana wasn't just a demonstration of supernatural power, it was a sign. In the Gospel of John, this moment marks the beginning of Jesus' public ministry. The transformation of water into wine symbolized the coming of a new covenant, one of grace, abundance, and inner transformation. Just as the jars once used for purification were now filled with something joyous and new, so too was Christ bringing spiritual renewal to a dry and weary world. And so, even if science someday discovers mechanisms by which such transformations might occur in theoretical models, it would not diminish the miracle, it would highlight the layers of divine design that we are only beginning to uncover. After all, science and faith need not be rivals. Science asks how, but faith asks why. When both questions are pursued honestly, they can lead to the same source, the mind and heart of God. In the end, the miracle of Cana isn't meant to be dissected like a laboratory experiment, it's meant to be received as a sign of divine love, subtle and extravagant, ordinary and extraordinary at once. It reminds us that behind every law of nature stands a creator who is not limited by the systems he designed. And when he chooses to act, it is always with purpose, with beauty, and with perfect timing. The New Testament overflows with miracles: Jesus healing the blind, walking on water, feeding thousands with a few loaves and fish, raising the dead. These events have sparked centuries of awe, devotion, and debate. Skeptics may ask, could these miracles be explained by science, while believers affirm, they happened because God willed it. But what if both perspectives are not in opposition, but in conversation? What if science and faith are not rival truths, but different lenses focusing on the same divine reality? Let us consider the healing miracles. Modern medicine has documented spontaneous remissions, psychosomatic recoveries, and placebo effects. The body has remarkable regenerative potential, and belief, yes, even faith, can impact physical health. The idea that faith can trigger biological changes is not far-fetched. Scientists studying neuroplasticity and psychoneuroimmunology recognize that thoughts and emotions can affect immune response, inflammation, and even cellular behavior. Could Jesus have accessed a level of human biology and consciousness that we are only beginning to understand? When Jesus healed a paralyzed man with just a word or touched someone to restore sight, the physical effects were immediate. No known medical intervention today can achieve such instant, complete recovery. But rather than dismiss the miracles as myths or exaggerations, perhaps we should see them as divine interruptions, moments when the Creator directly realigned creation. If God made the nervous system, why wouldn't He be able to repair it in an instant? Science may describe the pathways, but God governs the entire system. Then there's the miracle of walking on water. Some researchers have proposed natural explanations, an illusion caused by shallow ice, or a sandbar beneath the waves. But the Gospel accounts are clear: the disciples were far from shore, the storm was fierce, and Jesus walked across the surface of the sea. No known natural phenomenon could explain it without disregarding the historical narrative. But what if, instead of being an anomaly in nature, this was a moment of divine authority over it? The same God who designed the molecular tension of water could choose, for a brief moment, to allow it to support a human body. Even the resurrection of Lazarus defies all scientific models. Brain death, tissue decay, and cellular breakdown begin quickly after death. Reviving someone after 4 days in a tomb is not merely medical, it's divine. Some have proposed suspended animation, misdiagnosis, or metaphor, but none account for the detailed accounts of witnesses, the smell of decay, and the overwhelming emotional response. Here, science reaches its limit, and faith begins. But to say that science can't explain a miracle is not to say that science is useless or ignorant. It's to acknowledge that science operates within the framework of natural laws, while miracles are moments when God, the author of those laws, steps in to redirect them. And every miracle recorded in the New Testament carries deeper meaning. They are not performed for spectacle but to reveal God's kingdom, His mercy, and His identity. They were physical signs of a spiritual reality. Furthermore, the harmony between science and faith becomes evident when we consider how much of Jesus' teaching embraced the natural world: seeds, harvests, storms, vineyards, light. He used the rhythms of creation to point to eternal truths. And in doing so, he showed that nature is not separate from God's plan, it's part of it. The more we understand the natural world, the more prepared we are to recognize when something truly supernatural occurs. So, do miracles of the New Testament defy science? Yes, but not by accident. They stand as reminders that God's power transcends our models, yet they also invite us to explore His creation more deeply. Because when faith is rooted in truth, and science is guided by wonder, both can point us to the same conclusion: behind the universe, there is a mind, a heart, and a will far greater than our own. As we arrive at the final chapter of this exploration, one truth remains: science is a powerful tool for understanding the world, but it is not the ultimate lens through which all reality can be seen. The mysteries of God go far beyond the boundaries of microscopes and telescopes. And perhaps, that's exactly how it's meant to be. The scientific method relies on observation, repetition, and evidence. It seeks order, consistency, and patterns within nature. But the very essence of a miracle is its uniqueness, its unpredictability. Miracles are not formulas. They are divine interruptions, windows into eternity piercing the veil of time. They defy repetition not because they are random, but because they are personal, tailored by God for a specific time, place, and purpose. You cannot replicate the voice that calmed the storm, or the hand that raised the dead, because those were acts of divine will, not natural law. Science can explain how rain falls, but not why it sometimes waits at Elijah's prayer. It can trace the path of disease, but not how a woman was healed by touching the hem of Christ's garment. It can calculate energy and matter, but not love, sacrifice, or grace. These realities, while invisible, are no less powerful. And perhaps the greatest error of modern thought is believing that what cannot be measured must not be real. Throughout Scripture, God does not hide from human inquiry, but neither does He submit to it. In Job 38, God asks the suffering man, "Where were you when I laid the earth's foundation?" It's not a rebuke of reason, but a reminder of perspective. Science may explore what has already been created, but only God can create from nothing. While we build equations, He speaks worlds into existence. The deeper we dig into the laws of the universe, the more they whisper of a lawgiver whose thoughts are higher than ours. And that's the tension we must embrace. Science helps us marvel at the complexity of creation, it sharpens our understanding and inspires awe. But it cannot define God. It cannot predict grace. It cannot bind the hands that shaped galaxies and still wipe away tears. The moment we think we can fully comprehend the divine is the moment we've shrunk him into something he is not. God is not a scientific principle, he is the origin of every principle. Moreover, miracles are not meant to be proven in laboratories. They are meant to be believed, experienced, and remembered. They are not just acts of power, but expressions of love. And love, like faith, transcends logic. It's not irrational, but suprarational. It doesn't deny science, it goes beyond it. To believe in miracles is not to abandon reason, it is to recognize its limits and to stand in humble awe before what lies beyond. In the end, the true beauty lies not in explaining miracles, but in receiving them. When we understand that science is a gift, but not the giver, that it reveals wonders, but not the wonderworker, we find peace. We stop trying to trap God in a test tube and instead, we open our hearts to his mystery. Because the deepest miracle is not the parting of seas or the healing of limbs, it's that the infinite God would step into time, take on flesh, and invite us into relationship with him. And that, no equation can explain.